Welcome to episode 200.
Woo woo.
200 of the Married into Crazy podcast with Snooks and Lovey. I'm Lovey.
I'm Snooks.
And we want to welcome each and every one of you to our 200th milestone episode. So,
Is every 100 a milestone?
It sure is in my book. No, but when you think about it,
asking.
That's 200 straight weeks. There's actually a little bit more than that because we weren't always numbering like we should have been, or I should have been. I say we, but it was really me. But this is number 200. How do you feel about having 200 podcasts minimum underneath your belt?
Great. Nah, I don't know. I feel like part of me feels like we've been doing it a long time, but it's really only just about 4 years.
3 years.
3?
3. Well, not
4.
not quite 4.
Almost 4.
Figure late August, early September of 2018.
So I mean, just I don't know. It's just been a part of who we are for a long time.
As you can tell, you can sense the excitement in her voice.
No, I don't know what to say.
No, okay, so here's the thing. For those of you that are new to the podcast, welcome. We welcome each and every one of you. We are a married couple that have been together for 26 years, married 25, and we've gone through a lot of stuff. So go back and listen to our very first episode, and we go back 200 episodes ago. I love saying that.
That's a long time ago.
And listen to the very first podcast, and it's called Bamboozled, and you'll be able to hear the drama, at least the beginnings of the drama. And then we began to lay stuff out. Then jump over to episode number 5, and then you can hear about how I got stabbed by her ex-boyfriend and all the things that ensued from there. And Married into Crazy is about us sharing our platform, how we coach, but on the principles of crazy. And crazy stands for
compassionate, real, accountable, zealous, and yielding. Look, you didn't even have to cue me. I was just jumped right in.
She was right there, Jane on the spot. And so we talk about those things, and we bring in other people to interview, all of that. So that's what the podcast is really all about, helping people get from where they are right now in their marriage to getting to the next level. Later on in our episodes, we talked about how Snooks in year 4 asked for a divorce. We had to navigate that process while we almost got divorced, and it's just a lot of different things. And here we are 25 years later in our marriage, still going strong, still building, still learning. And we invite you to participate in that. And so one way that you can actually make sure is to, wherever you're listening, please go and leave a review and a rating.
That's my 5. I'm sorry. For those who cannot see me, I put my hand up for 5. Not a high 5, but for 5 stars.
And if Snook sounds tired to you, because she sounds tired to me, it's for a good reason. She is burning the candle at every end. Between getting her master's in social work, and then we've got Isaiah, our grandson, that has been with us. We had a massive party yesterday over with all the cousins to get all the littles over here to the house so that the little ones could actually play together and build that unity and camaraderie within the family. And just running around today, it's just been a lot. And I appreciate you for being here to do the podcast with me.
Okay. Well, I didn't think I sounded that tired, but thank you.
You did.
Or you're welcome.
Well, because we know what kind of energy you usually have. So do us that favor. Go to Apple Podcasts.
Not if they knew, they don't.
Spotify and leave that rating and a review. But then also go over to marriedintocrazy.com and take a look around. You can look at our tab. There's a clothing store there that's got a bunch of different items that are available because people should know by your clothing how crazy your marriage really is. And that's one thing you can do is go there. And of course, Facebook. If you're on Facebook, go to Iron Tribe, the marriage community, because we talk about building an iron tribe. And that's based off of it's a scripture. It's Proverbs 27:17, and it talks about iron sharpening iron.
But how we look at it is we as couples should be sharpening each other, So that's what the Iron Tribe is really about. You should have an Iron Tribe for those moments when you don't see eye to eye, and you have just that team of individuals that who you can trust that have your marriage's best interest at heart. You know, no
Exactly.
ulterior motives or anything like that. So
Here's a cool thing. Right now, we're recording on the 4th of July. So if you hear explosions and
yeah,
screaming,
we don't live in a gun zone where it's literally 4th of July fireworks, even the illegal ones. I think that's
oh,
the
there's a
only
lot
things
of
that
illegal
are,
ones that are going off.
yeah.
So it might sound like we're in a battle zone, but we really aren't. It's just the 4th of July, which I think begs discussion when we're talking about Independence Day. I'm not going to go anything very political, but what we are going to talk about is, you know, I think that we should declare a marriage Independence Day.
Okay. So what?
Well, first let's
Because when you say marriage independence, that means to me it means independent. I'm independent of you. So is
no,
that what
not
you're talking about?
nope. I'm not talking about us getting away from each other, or are you guys getting away from your spouses either? What we are talking about, or at least what I'm trying to bring up,
Okay.
from a marriage independence standpoint, let's create marriages that are independent of the baggage that other people gave us and how we perceive what marriage is supposed to be. When I say that, we talked about a baton of marriage being passed off to each other, and it's like, well, why do you do what you do, or why do you think the way you think? Well, that's the way my parents did it. That's the way my grandparents did it. That's the way my auntie and uncle did it. No, I'm talking about marriage independence, where we actually there's certain things that ail marriages, and I think that we should claim independence from those things that we get from other people or that have influenced how we have our marriage or marriages, and we should claim independence from that. And more specifically, there's 5 things that I came across on the internet.
First of all, I just want to say, I don't know, did y'all pick up on it? Because I did when he said baggage,
It
and he
wasn't at you,
pointed.
it was behind
It
you.
was like I'm like, how come he didn't do baggage the other way? And then when he said which ails, and then you did it again. Oh,
For
so
those of
hey,
you
you know
listening,
what? I come on, let's
she's acting
whatever.
like I'm motioning towards her, but I was motioning behind her. I guess
In
on
my
camera, it looks like I'm
yeah, I
pointing
was
at you.
like, what? That's I don't know if you
I caught
saw
your
how I look.
face.
I was
I
like,
was
what
like,
the heck?
look.
You trying
No.
to
So
throw shade?
there's 5 things. So if you go to marriage.com or a variety of other websites that are out there, they talk about there being 5 causes of marriage problems. And I think we should claim independence from those problems.
Okay.
But here's the thing. In true fashion, I want to say that these things that were given to us, a lot of times we adopt ways or values or methodologies, whatever you want to call them, from other people, from things that were
Core
modeled for us.
principles.
There we go, principles, or the way you should act in a marriage. And for no rhyme or reason, we just do what we were shown or what was modeled for us. And we need to get away from that. Much like if you look at right now, it's 4th of July, people are shooting off fireworks, and it's all about Independence Day for the United States, right? Getting away from England. Well, that wasn't even, how do I even want to put this? It's when they developed the Constitution, they actually borrowed from what was called the Magna Carta, right? That was in the Magna Carta. So the Magna Carta was something that the colonists, I want to call it in England, these barons came up with these rules, these things, these principles, so they can actually end up keep their property and their livelihood, and they weren't, to get away from tyranny. So during the American Revolution, the Magna Carta served as inspiration and justified the actions on liberty's defense. So what they did was the colonists, they believed that they were entitled to the same rights as Englishmen, rights that were guaranteed in the Magna Carta. So they embedded those rights into the states and later into the Constitution and the Bill of Rights.
I was gonna say, so the when you're talking about the Magna Carta, it just reminded me of the Bill of Rights, but you just said it.
Yeah.
So
I say all of that not to bore you with
history,
American history,
because I love history. But go ahead.
but what it is to show you that maybe the Magna Carta for our marriages were the things that were, that we witnessed our grandparents, or we witnessed our parents, or we witnessed.
So you're saying we're borrowing the actions of those who came before us, good or bad, and we kind of apply it to our current situation.
Right, exactly. Borrow from the past what was good and discard those things that are negative. Like a good example is like the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution. You know, the one where it says like no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, property, without due process of law. That's a direct descendant of the Magna Carta's guarantee of proceedings according to the law of the land. They didn't adopt everything in the Magna Carta. They just picked the things that they thought were relevant.
Some stuff they like.
And I think we should do the exact same thing when it comes to our marriages, where we witness some things like bad communication. There's 5 things I'm going to call out,
Okay.
and I want us to talk about them that we should claim independence from. First thing being miscommunication.
Okay.
How many times have you witnessed in previous, or I'm saying not previous relationships, but in our parents or our aunts, uncles, friends, whomever that modeled marriage for us, that there was a good amount of miscommunication?
Oh, I think it's frequently. I think that we've even had some miscommunication. It sometimes it doesn't come out as miscommunication. I don't know where you wanted to take it, but I just want to say it's conveyed as miscommunication when you address it. Does that make sense? Because how do I know that it's miscommunication if I'm not telling you? How am I saying this? It's like I have to bring it to your attention to let you know that, hey, that wasn't cool.
Right.
So then you understand that, oh, I got that wrong. So that's when it's miscommunication.
Well, and it's tough because if you're unclear about your feelings, setting boundaries, you know, even talking about expectations for your marriage, right? You're likely to incur or encounter some type of marital problems, but that all goes back to miscommunication. And it's about having open door. We were talking with one of our clients, and you know, they have a thing, and we've talked about this with many of our clients, and they call it different things.
Yeah.
But let's call it a board meeting, where once a week you get together with your spouse, and you have what we'll call a board meeting. Meaning you'll sit down, and you want to talk about the things that happened over the course of last week, things you understood, didn't understand, liked, didn't like, but just having a what we used to call a coming to Jesus meeting. You know, where we're just gonna put it all out on the table, have a discussion. So that way there's no miscommunication, because occasionally things happen and I just completely misunderstood what you meant.
Right. And I misunderstood. I you were saying something and I took it the wrong way. So it's not always what you say, it's sometimes just what I hear. Because you could have said everything right, but if this is what I heard, or, you know, now I feel some kind of way, you could be like, why are you tripping? All I said was, well, I'm like, that's not what I heard.
And then things escalate quickly.
So kind of like to your point about the board meeting too, I think that that's a good thing to have. Set aside a day for when we have our discussion about the things that we have challenges with in our relationships, because it prevents the every single day when you feel like, oh my God, here I go, here she go, or here he goes, gonna be nagging me about something, and every single day I come home, it's the same thing. I'm tired of this. So if we set a meeting or whatever, however we call it, you don't have to worry about the nag session. Because I'm always constantly telling you about something I don't like or whatever. I will put it on the list, and come Wednesday or Thursday or Friday or whatever day your meeting is on, we'll discuss it at that point. So we're still getting our needs met, as far as I'm still being able to tell you, and I'm hoping that you're hearing me. It's not so much like, oh, I think it takes out I gotta walk on eggshells too, because if I say something, you're gonna get mad, but maybe you're getting frustrated because you just said something to me yesterday, you know? So
So you table it to that time. So that's something to think about, and pick a day. That's not. How do I want to say this? I'm over here stuttering. Pick the least challenging day of the week. Don't try and have this meeting on the day where you got like 25 different things stacked up that you need to accomplish, or you got a deadline the next day, or so your mind's not really going to be there. Pick the least intrusive day of the week to have your meeting. So think about that. Another thing that we need to claim independence from is setting unrealistic expectations for our marriage.
So I can't expect for you to come home with roses or candy and jewelry every day. That's no.
Maybe roses and candy to a certain extent, but jewelry? Look. So that's something that needs to be
What's
talked
wrong
about.
with what's wrong with jewelry?
Look, not having clear expectations about your marriage or the partnership or however you want to call it. Um, how basically without having clear expectations about how things are supposed to work between the two of you, that's going to cause some problems.
Yeah, that right there in itself is a big misunderstanding or miscommunication. You have to talk about the things that you like, the things that you don't like, and figure out how to navigate them. Because in every relationship, somebody's going to do, each of us, we do stuff that the other person just doesn't like, you know. So I can't expect you to be perfect all the time. You can't expect me to be perfect all the time, or actually any other time, because we're not perfect beings. So if we set the expectation and know that there are going to be some challenges, sometimes I'm going to get it wrong, you know, that's where we need to operate in some grace.
I agree. And again, when you have that meeting, maybe it's about setting up an opportunity. Like, what are you looking for in this marriage? How are your needs being met? And how are your needs not being met?
Mm-hmm.
Have that realistic conversation about, okay, and set a guide. Like, okay, well, how do we make sure that we're both being fed, so to speak, within this marriage?
Right.
Let's set some expectations up, some rules of engagement, and let's adhere to these things. I can't guarantee that all your needs are going to be met, just like you can't guarantee that all my needs are going to be met. But let's find that overlap where we're going to be happy and we can continue to grow, because that overlap will grow as we gain experience in meeting the existing needs. But we have to have realistic expectations.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
So that's one thing that you can do to help you to actually have independence from having unrealistic expectations.
Right. So then the next one, another one is lack of privacy. And basically that's about how you take information that you and your partner are talking about, and you're sharing it with other people. So that means that you're putting your business out in the streets.
Right.
So we never want to do that, first of all, because that's just not cool. But also, you don't want to do that because what you're doing is you're putting unnecessary burden or stress onto your partner. Because if I say something to someone that Lovey said to me, and he's thinking it stops here, if it gets back to him, he's gonna be like, "What?" You know, now the trust is not there. Like, bro, what's wrong with you? Why are you telling people, you know, blah blah blah? You got what's it? You got me out here looking crazy or whatever.
Well, yeah, it's like I don't want your mom knowing all my business or our business. I don't want your sister knowing or your cousins. I don't want to have to meet up with your brother and all of a sudden we chop it up. He's like, "Hey, I just want to tell you the other day you was wrong when you said da da da." To my sister, I'm like, "Wait, well, hold on. How do you even know about that?"
Right.
You know, that's something that we need to work out.
Right.
You need to stay up out our Kool-Aid. And
Well, I mean, but no one's gonna be in your Kool-Aid if you ain't pouring it. If you ain't pouring it into their glass.
right. So yeah, quit pouring Kool-Aid in other people's cups that don't need the Kool-Aid.
Right.
Somebody out there's like, what the heck are they talking about? Kool-Aid and no, and that's truth. And we're really, really big on privacy. And maybe it's because when we work with our clients, you know, because we do coach and we have a number of individual as well as couples that we coach, and privacy is at the forefront of everything that we do. But it shouldn't just be about a professional standard. It's about an emotional and to a certain extent spiritual. We have to know that we trust each other. I got to trust that
Right.
when I talk to my spouse, that we are in a vault.
That you're only talking to your spouse.
Right. That I'm only talking to my spouse. Now, if we agree, like, hey, you know, I need somebody to talk to about this because we're having some issues. You mind if I talk? Somebody's going to say, no, I don't want you talking to your sister. I need to talk to somebody. And it might not be your coach. It might not be your counselor, but you need to have a trusted person that you can speak to that's in it for your marriage.
That's where the Iron Tribe comes in also.
Have that iron tribe established. So you have people that are down for your marriage, not just down for you, Because it's easy for your boys to be like, yeah, I got your back, man. You know, you need to leave her. Or it's good. I mean, so it's easy for her to have her girls, her sisters, you know, her sorors, whatever, that always are down for her. But who's down for your marriage, for your covenant? Those are the people that you should have somebody to vent to, but not to the point where you're like putting all your business out in the streets.
Yeah, I mean, you always want somebody to be able to have a conversation with. And though we say, well, just talk to your spouse. Well, there are times when I'm like, I don't feel like talking to Lovey about this. And it's not, but then that goes back to unrealistic expectations also, because I'm not going to talk to you about every single thing at every single time. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And I may not want to hear it.
Well, that's why I won't be talking to you. It's like be like, it's pertinent. I got stuff to do.
So claim your independence from having a lack of privacy.
Yeah.
Now, this next one's a little more difficult because we're human. I'm going to say we want to claim independence from having unnecessary arguments. Not just arguments. And I'm not saying that some arguments, sometimes you're going to have heated exchanges. I don't know that I necessarily want to call them arguments, but you're going to have these moments where there's, what do I want to call them? Enthusiastic debates, enthusiastic disagreements, where you both are just going at it and it becomes an argument. Now, if that's all you do, that's a problem.
Yeah, because without harmony, how are you supposed to? I mean, our relationships are the things that we want to be in. No one's forcing you to be. It's not jail. It shouldn't be looked at as jail or prison or anything like that. And if that is what you think your marriage is or your partnership is, then it's time to get some coaching or something.
Right.
You know?
You can go to marriedintocrazy.com and hit that coaching tab and set up a discovery call.
But back to your point, there are going to be disagreements, or we'll call them arguments or whatever. No one is saying that you will never argue because
you will.
Don't get along all the time. You are not of the same thought all the time, you know.
If you got along all the time, or one of you isn't necessary, because if there was just a homogenous thought where it was all exactly the same, you don't want it to be just, you know, nobody wants a Stepford wife or a Stepford husband, so to speak, to where it's just like, sure, you know, whatever you like.
Yeah, because that even initially you might be like, heck yeah, that's what I'm talking about. But then pretty soon you'd be like, oh my gosh, can we have a real conversation here, please? Can you really tell me something? Can we really be honest? Can we? And that will eventually get on someone's nerve.
Right. So let's claim independence from unnecessary arguments. As a matter of fact, let's just say let's claim independence from arguments, but not necessarily spirited disagreements.
Okay.
Because those are going to happen, you know. But you got to have rules of engagement so that way it's done properly.
No, exactly.
And the last thing that we absolutely positively need to claim independence from:
dishonesty or lying, telling stories, however you say it, whatever your vernacular is for not telling the truth, not being honest. Yeah.
Yeah, it's look, you have to be, we always talk about having a hot marriage, honest, open, and transparent. Hot. Hot. But it's one of those things where the very first word was honest. Because there has to be truth. Honesty is a byproduct of the truth, you know, living in the truth. And we have to have truth in our marriage. That's the only way you can. Without honesty, there can be no vulnerability. There can be no transparency. There can be, because if I can't trust that I can come to you and bare my soul to you, I don't know. I have to be able to trust you, right? I have to know that what you're giving me is an honest representation of who you are.
Exactly. So, and let me say too, when we're talking about the dishonesty, I'm not talking about the obvious. Oh, he had an affair, or she was messing around. We're talking about being honest about your feelings, about how something made you feel. Because if you just be like, oh, it's okay, but it really is not okay, then eventually that's going to create a huge problem.
A huge problem.
Huge problem.
You have to be able to, more than anything else, we want you to be your true, authentic self within your marriage.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the only thing that you should be, only you that you should be anyway, authentically you, because if you're not, then you're lying all day long, you
Right.
know?
And authenticity is almost a synonym for honesty, right? Is that an honest document? Man, is that honestly the real McCoy, the real thing?
Are you transparent? Transparent? Yeah, what's the word? It is transparent.
Yeah, transparent. Ooh, somebody's definitely tired.
Like, wait,
And
that's
so-
not the word.
But these are the things we want to claim independence from. So look, the day that this podcast is being released is on July 6th. July 6th. We're declaring it for you. We're claiming marriage independence from these 5 things. From
Miscommunication, from lack of privacy, from unrealistic expectations, from dishonesty and arguments.
So there you have it. Go out, shoot your fireworks, burn the neighborhood down like it sounds like ours is, and claim your independence from those things that are doing damage to your marriage. That's it ultimately. Mm-hmm. We named 5 things, but there might be other things that we didn't discuss.
Yeah, and that's a good point that you said that, because maybe you don't have a problem with lack of privacy, or you guys keep it in house and you're not telling everyone your business, but there could be something different. So take an inventory of the things that are keeping you from having the stellar, phenomenal marriage that you want, and really have an honest discussion about it, about what those things are that are preventing you from going to the next level, that are keeping you stagnant in your marriage. And be like, okay, so, and then figure out a plan on how to deal with that. How do we get past this? How do we move forward? And if you have trouble, like I'm having trouble obviously speaking today, if there's a challenge, then go to our website and book a coaching call, a discovery call. Sorry.
Yep. So today, congratulations on your independence from those things, but work on it. It is work. It's fun work.
Yeah, it's fun work. I mean, there's work in everything,
So why not get
You're
the
going to pay the
dividends?
price, right, one way or the other.
Right. So go out there, claim your independence, and until the next time, be blessed.
Bye-bye.